Alright, I'm going to make a video tutorial that you can kind of pause when you need to show you how you need to find your image for the spray paint. And in particular, we're looking just for the emphasis picture, which is the spray paint number 1. So this is the main focus of the piece. So in order to do this, the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to want to be on Google and do whatever Google search that you think that you need to find what it is you're looking for. So I'm doing the father, so I'm going to put in American soldier. And there it is, American soldier, for my image. So after I find American soldier, there's a couple of things here in the search bar that I'm going to have to do to sort of narrow my search and get the right image. The first thing I'm going to do is just click on images right here, which will make sure that I don't get any articles or anything like that. I'm just going to get pictures. After I have just images, there's two over here, one called setting, one called tools, and we're going to want to go into both of those. The first thing is if you go to tools, you get this little menu that pops down right here, and you're going to want to go under usage rights and choose one of the 4 down here that allows you to reuse it. I am going to start with labeled for reuse, and then I'll know that any picture that I find in here is okay for me to use for my own artwork. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my settings bar, and I'm going to try to find an image that works well for the spray paint. So keeping in mind the things that were in that presentation. Like you want to get a close-up of the face, you want to try to get it so both shoulders aren't cut off or the head isn't cut off. You want to try to find something that's high contrast, and you want to find a large image. So when I click on settings, I'm going to go to advanced search. When I go to the advanced search, I can kind of scroll down, and the first thing I'm looking at is the size. I'm trying to find an image that's going to be 2 megapixels or larger. So I scroll down under size and I can go to larger than 2 megapixels. The next thing is with the color, it doesn't matter because when I print it, it'll be black and white. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that as any color. But one thing that might help you is if you're looking for a person's face for your emphasis, when you go under type, you can choose that you want a photo or that you want a face. So I'm going to try face here, and then I'm going to go ahead down to the bottom and say OK for my advanced search. So that's going to narrow things down even more for me. So then the next part here, since I have images in it, I can see as I scroll over these that they're over 1,000 by 1,000. So the next thing is I'm going to just look for one that fits what I envisioned to be that father to look like. So as I was scrolling down and looking at these images, the one that I found that I like the most is this one right here. And I picked this one because he's got the lighter colored eyes, and in my character chart I had said that there was a part where he was talking about the blue eyes, or the author was talking about the blue-eyed promise. Now, this picture does have an issue in that the head is cut off. So I'm going to take the artistic liberty with this one and decide that I think I could actually, when I get to the stencil, figure out how to just draw that curve and draw that part of the stencil back in. If you think you can kind of put back whatever it is very simply, then you can have the shoulder cut off or something like that, and we can add that back in. But we'll have to remember that when we go to the stencil part. If that doesn't work for you and you don't think you can draw the part that's missing very simply, then I would just suggest that you keep looking until you find something that works and hits every point that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. Now, here's what I'm kind of discovering is when I do this, you'll see that it says it's almost 5,000 by 3,280, right? So that image is huge. But Google has kind of changed things up, it turns out. And that means that the image that's online is actually the size, and this is just like a thumbnail picture of that. So in order for me to get to that large image, I'm going to have to not just click on the thumbnail and take this image, but I'm going to have to open that picture up to get to the picture from the website. Sometimes this one's enough and you can try the next steps with just this one. Other times, clicking on the actual image is going to give you the largest resolution, and you're going to want to take it from there. So I'm going to take from this picture right here, and I'm going to right click, which on a Chromebook is if you hold your fingers apart a little bit and click the pad, then you get like a right click. Otherwise, you can just drag it into a Google Doc. That works too. Or you can save the image and then put it into a Google Doc that way. But I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to right click, which is click with your fingers spread apart. I'm going to copy that image, and then I'm going to open a Google Doc. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to open a Google Doc, but I need it to be in that visual literacy folder. So I'm going to go to the drive, and you guys will see something different here than mine. But I'm going to go to my literacy folder and put it in there. And I actually previously created a folder called Spray Paint Images just to organize myself. So I'm going to open up the Spray Paint Images folder, and then I'm going to do a new document in there. Create and share that. This one is my emphasis, so I'm going to title this one Picture 1. All your background stencils can be number 2, 3, and 4 because you're going to be doing separate Google Docs for each one of those. But for this particular one, which is the most difficult, we're going to call it Picture 1. That way I know which one your emphasis is. So then I'm going to right click again, which again with your fingers spread on the mouse, the pad, you'll get this to pop up, and then I'm going to paste the picture in place. Okay, so there it is. I always suggest that you push the print button to make a judgment as to how it fits on that paper though. So if I hit print preview, it takes it a second, but you can see there's all this white space here, and then the picture is really, really small. I want to get rid of the white space. So the first thing I'm going to do, I point out, is you see how this picture is long. It's like wide, but the paper's tall. So the paper is portrait orientation because it's tall. The picture's landscape. So I want them to line up. So let me get rid of this. I'm going to go to File, and then I'm going to go scroll down to Page Setup. Right here I'm going to have the option to do landscape. So I'm just going to start with that so you can see what happens. And so when I do my print preview, you'll see that now that I've changed the orientation of the picture to be landscape, the paper itself is long and the image is long too. So if you have an image that is wider than it is tall, you're going to want to switch to landscape. If you don't have a picture like that and it's just longer than it is wide, you can leave it as portrait. Or if you have a picture that's perfectly square, it doesn't really matter which orientation you choose. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this, and then I'm going to further get rid of more white space. So I'm going to go back to this, and you can do this all in one step. I'm just trying to break it down so you can see it. I'm going to go back to File and then Page Setup. I got landscape already. So now I'm going to go in there and I'm going to change all these guys to 0. That's going to get rid of all of my margins. And you'll see that when I get rid of my margins, the picture that I put is going to end up in the upper left-hand corner. So now when I go to stretch this by the corner, I can stretch it out all the way, and I can get as much space out of this piece of paper as possible. So to stretch it out by the corner, I want to click on the picture. And again, when I say by the corner, I don't want to stretch it here, because if I stretch it by the side, he gets wide. If I stretch it by the bottom, he gets long. So I always want to pick a corner to pull it by so that it constrains the proportions and it does the length and the width at the same time. Pull that all the way out, and then there you can see that I've used as much of the paper as this particular image will allow, and that's what I want to do. There's still a little white left, but I got rid of as much as I could. So If your picture is clear on the screen, it does mean that you're okay and you got the right one. If you find that when you stretch it out, the picture is pixelated, what probably happened is that when you were looking in Google, you were probably grabbing from the thumbnail and not kind of clicking through to get to the biggest resolution possible. So try, if that doesn't work from grabbing from the thumbnail, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't, then click on it and click all the way into the website and then you get your picture.